You are Locked On Heat POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Heat fans? Welcome to your Locked On Heat POSTCAST. My name is Jim GRIES. Call me Grease. Got that large head thing going right in here. But look, we got that nice little angle. We got the red lighting. It's a red light special tonight. But man, oh man, it was not a special performance by your Miami Heat. They blow one tonight to the New York Knicks. And look, that was number 2 team in the East last year. They know how to close games. They're great on the perimeter with Brunson, who finally came alive in the fourth quarter, and Hart and Bridges and Anunoby in the front court. And it was all about Cat tonight. Karl-Anthony Towns with the Cat attack in this game, and it was absolutely crazy when you think about what happened in this contest. The Miami Heat fall, man, to 2-1, or actually 2-2 on the season. They're 2-1 coming into the game, but they're 1-2 at home now, and they will hit the road to play the Washington Wizards. That is next up on Saturday. Of course, we got the Canes against Duke on Saturday. We got the Dolphins on Sunday against the Bills on the road. And it's a big weekend. I'm on ESPN Radio all weekend at night, game night Saturday and Sunday nights as well. All right, first things first, Jim GRIES, at Jim GRIES _ on social media, GRIES, Jim Grieshaber, longtime Miami sportscaster, University of Miami alum. We have the postcast after every Heat game, but we also have Locked On Heat every day. And your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. That's right, introducing the Locked On Heat daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage. How about that? Delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Heat newsletter. And real quick, tonight's episode of your Locked On Heat postcast is brought to you by, okay, what time is it? Gametime. Today's episode is sponsored by Gametime. Download the Gametime app. We know this, right? You download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? Gametime on the Locked On Podcast Network. So, yeah, tough one. I mean, I got 3 pages of notes here. Where do I start? Not the best night for the Miami Heat. I'll say that. In the second half, especially the third quarter, has been a disaster for Miami so far this season. And you know this. Obviously, you're watching the games too. It's been a disaster. The third quarter of the season for Miami. They've been badly outscored in the third quarter. But, you know, I mean, it was a tale of two halves tonight. And Miami came out hot. They came out hot in this game. They had a 32-point quarter. It was 32-26 at the end of one. Tyler Herro, 14 points in the first. 38% of his points, at least through the first quarter of tonight's game, had come in the third quarters of games this year. And look, I mean, the Knicks were cold from the perimeter. Brunson was bad in the first quarter. All those guys, none of them were good. But Karl-Anthony Towns carried him, man. He started hot, double digits early. You know what I mean? In the first half, Karl-Anthony Towns really put on a great performance. And the whole game long for the Knicks, Karl-Anthony Towns with a 40-point game, easily his biggest and best game as a Knick so far. And, you know, in the first half, he had 24 points. Tyler had 20 for Miami and ended up with a big game, Tyler Herro as well. We'll hit the boxes in the team stats in the second segment of the show. And then as we bounce on out, and we're still going to get the graphics fixed for you, but not enough room for the triple digits, but it'll say 16-07 that the Knicks won, but they won 116-107. It was 58-52 Miami at halftime. They had a 13-point lead early in the third quarter. See, Miami's been bad in the third quarter this season. Miami has been outscored by over 10 points per quarter in the third so far this season, only scoring 19 points per quarter in the third so far this year. So you see where I'm going. When they come out on fire after halftime, and Miami was up 6 at the half, they take a 7-point, they go on a 7-0 run, and they take a 13-point lead in the third. Tyler hits a 3, a couple things going Miami's way, and Bam came out. Bam got badly outplayed by Cat in the first half, 3 fouls. He was on the bench, only 4 points. He scored 6 points right away in the third quarter. So you're thinking, wow, the Heat came out on fire in the third. Normally they come out and really, you know, don't do anything in the third. So they're going real well. Then all of a sudden the wheels come off. The Knicks go on an 11-0 run right around the 5-minute mark. And, man, the perimeter D was really good for Miami until that 11-0 run for the Knicks. They outscored Miami by 13 points in the third quarter. So think about the 26-point swing from where Miami had that lead, right? Think about that swing. It wasn't exactly a 26-point swing. It was a 19-point swing, excuse me. But Tyler had a 3 at 4:20. He was 6 for 9 at that point, 28 points. Real good job by him. And still, though, the Knicks were up 11 at the 2-minute mark, and it was 87-80 because in the fourth quarter, the New York Knicks just put it on the Heat. Brunson started getting hot. He hit a 3. He started dishing those dimes out like he does. Bridges was scoring. You know what I mean? Hart was making plays like he always does. And when I think about that, it was Cat the whole night long, and then they closed out the game. Their perimeter players are great. They played together for years at Nova. Now here, they're closing out games. You know what I mean? So the Nova Knicks got it done with Karl Anthony Towns, the Kentucky center, as well. The Knicks had 35 points in the third quarter, man. I mean, they put it on the Heat. 29 in the fourth after 26 in each of the first. Now, Terry Rozier finally got it going in the fourth after a couple of quarters. The first 3 quarters he struggled, had been the leading scorer for Miami with 19 points per game. But, Tyler ends up with 30-plus points, a big night for him, 34, a career high against the Knicks, his second highest total of three-pointers made in a game with 8. And, it was not enough because Bam and nobody else could contain Karl Anthony Towns. And this speaks to the problem that we talked about last time out with the Heat. And Jimmy Butler, we haven't mentioned his name, by the way, and we'll get to that. But Karl Anthony Towns, at his height, is a big problem. I mean, shooting threes like he did tonight, you think about Cat in this game, and I'm going to give you a couple of numbers. And you know that I'm not the biggest numbers guy. At least I know that you think. I think you know that I am. But he had 44 points, man. His 14th career 40-plus point game. 44 points for Karl Anthony Towns, 12 rebounds, 17 of 24 from the field, 4 of 5 from three-point land, and 7 for 7 from the free throw line. To put the game away late, he hit a three-pointer, and then on the next possession, he hit a three-point play. And this speaks to what I talked about last game. Jovic is 6'10". He's not even present an issue or a challenge to Cat at all. And Bam at 6'9" is just going to get in foul trouble as Cat pulls him away from the rim. So that's a big, big disadvantage for anyone playing the Knicks that doesn't have big height with mobility at the center position, and very few teams do. So as you see him come into his own with the Knicks, you see that role he's playing with Randall gone, and he's playing well for the T-Wolves, FYI. But I really believe that a coming out party for Karl Anthony Towns. I know in New York they're fixated on the World Series, but we don't care about New York. We care about the Miami Heat. But 116-107, your final. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease at Jim Grease _ GRIES. And the audience, the numbers are spiking. We love it. Keep them coming. Every show we get more viewers, as we remind you that here with this postcast, we have the YouTube channel, Locked On Sports Miami. But you can also get us wherever you get your audio podcasts as well. Apple Podcasts, iHeart, you name it. We'll have it here, as well as the Canes on Saturday after Duke, every Canes game. And then, of course, Sunday, the Dolphins and the Bills, and really almost a must-win at 2-5 in Buffalo against the first-place Bills. You're actually in second place in the division. But the Heat with a tough one tonight, a very, very tough one. What's up, Daniel Barry? Sports Highlights. Yo. Right back at you, man. Right back at you. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Don't forget Locked On Heat every single day, and, of course, the newsletter now as well. But Miami played really well in the first half, man. Deflections, fast breaks, easy buckets. They limited the Knicks to one shot. Their defensive rebound was so much better. In the third quarter, they scorched the Nets out, and you're thinking, wow, man, the third quarter at home, they don't win home games. Their home record's like 24-20 over the last guy. It's not good. Their home record has not been good. And so when you have a 13-point lead in the third quarter and you had a 6-point lead at the half, right? And you add to that lead, you're up 13, and the Knicks come back and they're up 13. That's a 26-point swing, man. That is a 26-point swing for the New York Knicks, and it just was no good. They had an 11-0 run. They had another 10-0 run in the quarter. The Heat are turning the ball over. They're missing threes and long rebounds coming out. The Knicks are selective with their transition. Very good in transition, handling the ball. They don't turn the ball over. We'll give you the final stats on the other side. This is your Locked On Heat postcast. 116-107, the Knicks exposing Miami in the second half. They were terrible from the second half of the third quarter on. Hung around a little bit, in the fourth quarter. What was it? It was 87-80. After 3, and look, down the stretch they come. For a while there, they were stuck on 102-98 for a couple of minutes. Possession. Neither team scoring, and then the Knicks literally, Cat with a putback, Cat with a 3, Cat with a 3-point play, and that was it for your Miami Heat tonight. Jim GRIES call me Grease on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. 116-107, the Knicks beat the Heat. When the show rolls on in just a moment, I'm going to talk to you about the numbers, the box score, what happened in that third and fourth quarter for Miami, and where is Jimmy, Butler, and Bam Adebayo? Where are they? Where's that Olympian Bam? Where's Jimmy? How come Karl-Anthony Towns was able to do what he did tonight, and then Brunson gave him just enough down the stretch? We'll analyze that on the other side. Later on, we have the graphics as well, player of the game, turning point, final score as well. It's Jim GRIES call me Grease, Locked On Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. And I have one question for you. What time is it? A qué hora? It is game time. It was game time for the Heat, 116-107. They lost to the Knicks, but how many times have we been to these games over the years? Heat, Knicks. Remember the Charlie Ward, P.J. Brown hip toss? Remember the 99 Allen Houston, the finger roll? We don't want to even talk about that, do we? But all those great memories, Heat, Knicks over the years, the fight at MSG with Alonzo Mourning, Jeff Van Gundy, Larry Johnson, Grandmama, all those memories and all those tickets that I had to get. And even then, digitally was real tough, right? So you're waiting in line at Will Call. You're waiting in line at the box office. All these things are going down, but not now and not with Game Time. It's so easy just to get in that app and make things happen. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on great seats. And that means you let the app know exactly what your parameters are, and it's only going to show you what you want. It's going to weed out everything else and not show you all this unnecessary stuff like you get in so many other places. You're going to get the super deal. You get to view every seat in the app before you buy it, exactly what the view is from that seat. You get the lowest price guarantee. You get event cancellation protection, job loss protection as well. You get the all-in pricing, the Game Time ticket price coverage, and the lowest price guarantees. So what does all that mean? That means that you are going to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. Jim GRIES call me Grease, 116-107. Yeah, the Heat could not close this game out tonight, and in the second half, just not what they were looking to do. In the third quarter, badly outscored again. Look, early in the game, they were all right. They had a 32-26 lead after one. You know what I mean? And Tyler Herro had 28 points in the first half, a really big night for him. And it's 58-52, right? Tyler with 20 in the first half, and 4 threes. He had 8 in the game. Jacquez had 7 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. He was a plus 13 in the first half. Bam only had 4 points with the 3 fouls. Jimmy had 6 points. So we're going to hit the box score for you and let you know how this one shook out. First, the points, right? 32-26 Miami in the first quarter, 26 apiece in the second, 35-22 New York in the third, 29-27 New York in the fourth. But again, down the stretch when it was 102-98, the Miami Heat had a shot, and then the Knicks just kind of pulled away from there. As far as the team's stats go in this game, it was a little bit ugly for Miami, and it was different things tonight than it had been in the past. And we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to the personal box scores and give you what Jimmy did and everything else. But the Knicks shot 49%. The Heat shot 45%. 3-point percentage, 45 for the Knicks, 42.5 for Miami. They shot 43s tonight, and the Knicks shot 43s, a season high for them. The free throws, 90% for New York, 66% for Miami. Only 16 of 24 from the line. You miss 8 free throws, and you lose by 9. And the Knicks are 18 of 20. Right there is a big difference in the game. The rebounds just about even. Defensive and offense just about even. Good job by Miami with that tonight. The assists, 30-27 New York, just about even. Turnovers even. Points off turnovers. Miami 11-4 there. Good job. Fast break points about even. Points in paint, 4 more for the Knicks, 42-38. Fouls even. Largest lead about even. It was just the Knicks pulling away in the fourth. And in the third, that big swing, Miami's up 13 points. And the Knicks end the third quarter up 13. So that was really what happened there. And just unfortunate for Miami. That was the way that it went down in that. And when you're looking at the overall box score in this game and you're looking at what individual players did for Miami, look, it was Tyler Herro tonight. Tyler Herro was a hero in this game, and he was consistent all the way through. Tyler played his best game of the year, one of the best games of his career, 12 for 20. 8 for 13 from 3, 2 for 2 from the line, 34 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds for the Heat's 2-guard. That is all-star level play. That is all-star level play from Tyler Herro. A great game for him. Terry Rozier ends up with 16, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, and I think 10 of those 16 came in the fourth quarter. If he'd have given him a little bit more throughout the game, that would have helped a lot too. Adebayo, 11 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds tonight. He got mugged by Cat. When I say bamboozled on the sheet up there, bamboozled mean he was bamboozled. And look up the meaning of bamboozled. You'll get a little education here on the show. But the second half collapse is killing Miami. And thank you again for making us a part of your night. We got big viewers right now. And make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when we're coming your way, you get the notifications. Engage with us in the chat. Say what's up. We'll say what's up back to you as the Heat drop this one tonight. But Herro ball, without a doubt, Tyler was great in this game. Cat attack. I mean, we're going to get to him in a minute. Good Lord. But Jimmy Butler scored his 15,000th career point tonight, but did not have a big game. So Adebayo with 11, Butler with 15, Jimmy and Bam -10 and -9. Jovic had 10 points. Butler ended up with 15 and 4 assists and 4 rebounds. But that perimeter group for the Knicks just badly outplaying them. And then Bam at 6'9" had no answer for Cat all night. The bench, Jacquez Jr. had 8, but only 1 in the second half. Robinson, 5. He's been off all year, under 23% shooting from 3. Bryant had 6, couple threes there for him in relief of Bam. And then Smith had 2 points in this game. Meanwhile, for the Knicks, McBride with 10 off the bench was good for him. Sims with 2, but Karl Anthony Towns was the star. More on him in a minute. Brunson, 22, most of those in the fourth quarter, with 9 assists for the Knicks point guard. And then you had Hart with 10 in the backcourt, Anunoby with 11, and Bridges with 17. And then you have Karl Anthony Towns, the star of the game. I didn't have a picture of him to put up with our partners at Imagine, but 44 points at a +15, 12 rebounds for the Cat Man. The Cat attack. The Cat Man can. And if you're wondering about the World Series right now, 5-5 in the bottom of the 6th with Giancarlo Stanton, the former Miami Marlin, at the dish after Jazz Chisholm, the other former Miami Marlin on the Yankees, just had an infield single. So many big-time plays for Giancarlo in these playoffs so far. Anyway, we got Locked On Heat on Saturday. Locked On Canes coming your way after the Duke game on Saturday. And then, of course, you have the Locked On Dolphins postcast on Sunday after the Bills game. But we're here talking Heat right now. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, and we just took a peek at the box score, and we took a peek at the team stats. And obviously, I mean, Miami with a lot of misses in the paint in the second half. So many. They made those shots in the paint in the first half, and in the second half, it's very easy as I'm looking at the charts. They just didn't shoot well in the second half of this game. Rozier did in the fourth, and Tyler stayed consistent, but Bam gave him nothing. Jimmy gave him a couple buckets later, but not much to write home about. So at the end of the day, they just got worked in the third quarter again, particularly the second half of the third quarter. And then, of course, in the fourth, man, just getting smoked down the stretch. Again, they were up 6 at halftime. Perimeter D was great, and Cat was just killing them all night. And the Knicks had a nice 11-0 run in the third. They were up 35. They outscored the Heat 35-22 in the third quarter, and that's the game right there. That is the game. It's been the game every time the Heat have lost. It's been the third quarter. And even when they've won, it's been the third quarter. Has not been their quarter. It hasn't all year long. And it's just, Duncan Robinson struggling. Miami has been terrible in the third. Rozier finally got it going in the fourth. But, man, I mean, 23rd, 30-plus point game of Tyler's career. And you're thinking the lob to Butler at 6'12" was the 7th assist for Tyler. Jimmy got his 15th career point. But, I mean, look, he just opening night against Orlando with Banchero and Wagner in that front court, and now with Bridges and Anunoby. This is twice that Jimmy's been outplayed. This is twice that Jimmy's looked a little sluggish against younger, quicker players. It hasn't been easy for him. So I don't want to say too much about it. It's early. You're hoping Jimmy gets things going. But, man, that's a tough go. Tough go for Jimmy B tonight. And he got outplayed. He got outplayed again. And when you're looking at the Knicks with Bridges and Anunoby and Hart and Brunson, just the perimeter for New York is good. And then you got Cat out there hitting threes, man. He's 4 for 5 from 3, 6 for 6 from free throw line and 17 of 24 from the field with 40-plus points and double-digit rebounds. The Knicks are not going to lose many games when Cat does that, and Brunson still gets his 22 points and 9 assists at the end, almost a double-double. They're not going to lose games. And then you got Hart with 14 rebounds and 6 assists and 10 points. He's got his thing going with almost a triple-double. Not really almost, 4 assists shy, but he stuffed the stat sheets tonight as well. And so you're going to win a lot of games if you're a Knicks fan when those things happen. By the way, the Yankees took the lead 6-5. An RBI ground out, or a sacrifice fly from Giancarlo Stanton made it 6-5. 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. They're still hitting against the Dodgers, who have come all the way back. And it was a 5-0 lead for the Yankees. The Dodgers coming all the way back. When we wrap it up right here on your Locked On, I'll tell you what, your Locked On Heat Postcast, Jim GRIEShaber, call me Grease. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are going to give you our graphics. We're going to give you the star of the game. We're going to give you the turning point, and we're going to give you the final score. We're going to look ahead to the Washington game. And let's see. We have a couple of things to do. It's Jim GRIEShaber, call me Grease on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Going to wrap it up in just a moment right here. And, of course, make sure you check Locked On Heat every day with the Locked On Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube as well. Same thing with Dolphins, Marlins, and the Canes, the undefeated 5th-ranked University of Miami Hurricanes. Looking forward to that game against Duke this week. It's a 12 p.m. kickoff, I believe, in Miami for that game. And that's going to be a lot of fun. That is going to be a lot of fun as the Canes look to go undefeated 4 more games in the regular season. And the Heat, not the best start for Miami. Not the best start. They go to 1-2 at home, and they're 2-2 overall, as they now will head out on a little bit of a trip. They go to Washington on Saturday. We'll give you that in just a minute as they head out on the road, Miami. But they go to 2-2 on the year. Yeah, they play at Washington, and that is a on NBA TV game, so that'll be fun. And then Sacramento on the 4th, which will be at that's another one, right? That's 6 p.m. And so they're out on the West Coast after. Oh, so that's what it is. They're on the West Coast. It'll be 9:15 out there. It'll be 10 p.m. East Coast time and 10 p.m. East Coast time on the 8th as they go to Phoenix and Denver. So at Washington, then home for Sacramento, and then you fly away and you go to Phoenix and then Denver. All right, 116-107, the Knicks beat the Heat. We talked about the real, it almost seems punchless, right? All those deflections, the steals, looking like, batted balls everywhere. It just doesn't happen. It wasn't happening in the third quarter. The Knicks were moving the ball much better. The Heat weren't filling the passing lanes like they had been. I don't know about the substitution patterns. I'm not going to get into that now, but it was Karl Anthony Towns, man. He ripped Miami tonight. He absolutely ripped them. And, in the first half, he had 24 points, finishes with 44-20 in the second half. And every single time it seemed like the Heat were getting back in, he hit a big shot. Brunson started doing it as well. And there you had it. That was pretty much the game. All right, let's get to some of these overlays that I have, some of these graphics they made for me. By the way, thank you for being here. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Hit the bell as well, right? So you know and you get notifications whenever we're coming on live here on the Locked On Heat Postcast. And then, of course, and any of your postcasts in Miami. We're all on the same YouTube channel, and then we're on the same podcast channels as the regular Heat Show, Dolphins, Canes, whatever. Make sure you check those out as well. All right, the final score of the game obviously is coming your way, and there it is. It should be 116-107. There's not enough room in the graphics they sent me, but the Knicks win this game, and they do it easily by 9. Again, they were down 13 in the third and ended up outscoring Miami 35-22. In that quarter to be up 7 going into the fourth. I've butchered the math on that all night. I'm not a math major at the U. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. And it was Cat tonight, and Bam doing nothing against Cat, and at 6'9" against a guy that size. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So there you go. And then obviously the moment where this game turned, the Knicks outscored the Heat 64-49 in the second half, 35-22 in the third quarter. So there you have it right there. 15 points they outscored them by in the second half, 13 in the third quarter. And then down the stretch, You know what I mean? Miami really, at 102.98, they had a shot, and the Knicks pulled away. Cat with a three-point play, Cat with a conventional three-point shot, bang, and that was it. And then Brunson with a big assist to Bridges down the stretch, too. He hit a three, and that was all she wrote. And so that's just a tough one for Miami. The star of the game should be Karl-Anthony Towns, but this is the Heat postcast, not the Knicks. It's Tyler. We need a hero, and he was one tonight, man. 34 points in this game. Tyler Herro with a big first half, 20 points and 14 in the second, but just not enough to overcome Karl-Anthony Towns and the New York Knicks. But all-star level play from Tyler Herro. Brunson, of course, you expect great down the stretch, and Karl-Anthony Towns magnificent all night. His best and biggest game as a Knick with that performance with the 44 and 12, and that's really scary, man. That is very, very scary when you think about Karl-Anthony Towns and what he brings to the table for this team, for this offense, with Brunson, with Bridges, with Anunoby, they're just going to be a good team. If he's able to do this night in and night out, he's not going to score 40 night in and night out, but having good games like this, carrying the offense on nights like that, road games, and Miami's got to figure out the third quarter. Miami's got to figure out home cooking and how to win in your own building at the Kaseya Center on Pat Riley Court with the Dwayne Wade statue. It has not been good these last couple of years, and here they are languishing again at 2-2 with Washington coming up. And, when you think about Washington, it's funny because they're just not a good organization, right? They're just not. They're not a good organization. They're 2-2. They're 1-2 at home. And, you got Jordan Poole, you got Kyle Kuzma and all the issues with him there. And it just is crazy. And Kuzma's out till November 2nd, personal reasons. We've done that. Jordan Poole's been a little bit of a head case in his career, but he's 22 points a game. Good player, good scorer. Miami's the favorite in this game. We don't have a line yet on FanDuel, but we will definitely have one by that day. So we'll be here right after that game live with your Locked On Heat postcast. And again, don't forget, Saturday, the Canes and Duke. Right after that game, we'll be here with your postcast. Sunday, the Dolphins and the Bills here as well. Alex and Kyle with Locked On Canes, Locked On Dolphins day in and day out. And, of course, the Heat every day with Locked On Heat, the newsletter as well. You are covered right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber at @JimGries_, GRIES. Subscribe, hit the bell. Yeah, we are here. Engage with us in the chat room. Really enjoy you. Appreciate you making us a part of your day every single day. And before we get out of here, I want to remind you once again that your favorite podcast, Locked On Heat, has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Heat Daily newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Heat newsletter. And, of course, tonight's show is brought to you by Gametime right here. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA. And that will give you $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? Game time. Game time. All right. One more home game before they hit that big road trip, too. They go to Washington, come back for Sacktown. Then they go to Phoenix and Denver back-to-back. That's all there is, Heat fans. There is no more. 116-107. You lose tonight to those god-awful, hated New York Knicks. The third quarter did it, getting outscored 35-22. Tyler Herro, a big game. And, yeah, Terry Rozier, a big fourth quarter. But outside of that, Butler, Adebayo, badly outplayed. Karl-Anthony Towns, the star of the show with 44 and 12 for the Knicks. A flawless, nearly flawless game for the big cat. You know what I'm saying? So he had a big game. And the Knicks go to 2-2 on the year as the Heat fall to 2-2. Saturday after the Wizards game, we'll be here with your Locked On Heat postcast. The Canes before that. Fins on Sunday at @JimGRIES_. Of course, you hit the subscribe and you ring that bell and you are good to go. Keep your game tight and your mind right, Heat fans. My name's Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease, and I'll catch you next time on the Locked On Heat postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.